Hey there, welcome back to Sleeve M. If you're new to my channel, I should let you know that I had, notice the past tense, the gastric sleeve procedure on January 9th, and I am officially 6 days post-op. So in today's video, I wanted to go through what it was like to have the surgery. As mentioned in one of my prior videos, I had to do a 2-day clear liquid pre-op cleanse, which I have to say was no fun. They said you could have as much protein drink as you want, and the protein should make you feel full, but I'm not gonna lie, I was craving food the whole time. But I just sucked it up and went with it. And then the procedure took place on January 9th. So after I checked in to Rose Medical Center where I had my surgery, they actually got me back really quickly and started getting me prepped for surgery. Got the IV placed, which they were really good at. They got it on the first try, which I know a lot of times that's not always the case with IV. The surgeon came back and talked with me. He was very enthusiastic, which made me excited. And all the nurses, they really knew what they were doing. There were multiple bariatric procedures on the schedule that day, and they were all very knowledgeable in how to deal with a bariatric patient. A lot of them were, very interested in my story and things like that. Super nice. They then wheeled me back to the procedure room, where my last memories were in the operating room looking up and saying, just breathe in. And then I went to the recovery room. I had a bit of a difficulty in the recovery room. My blood pressure is really high, which I currently don't take any blood pressure medications. So they had me in that room for about 3 hours until they could control my blood pressure. And I was so tired, I didn't care. I was just sleeping on and off, and it was rather comical to hear the nurses in the recovery room, because they were like trying to wake people up, and then like the anesthesiologists were just running around with their heads cut off, like trying to get everything situated. But they finally got everything taken care of. I was doing much better. They brought me up to my main room where I got to meet my nurse. And there wasn't much she could do with me because I guess shift change was at 7. At first, I was so incredibly thirsty. I was like, just give me a glass of water and let me pound it. But they refused. Apparently with a small stomach, you can't do that anymore. So they gave me these swabs and said I could not drink any water till I had my upper GI. So she kept coming in and saying, are you feeling better? Are you doing better? I was like, I feel much better if I have my upper GI because I'm dying of thirst. So she was like, okay, I'll call down. And she was able to get me in right away, which is awesome, because when you have that tube down your throat, I mean, it just makes it raw, and then having some like nice cold water just feels good. I mean, it burns a little bit at first, but at the end of the day, like, that's what you want. So they wheeled me down to get my upper GI, which entailed I had to drink some contrast, just like a little medicine cup of it, which of all liquids to have as your first drink after a gastric sleeve, contrast is definitely not in the top 10, but they wanted to make sure that everything looked like it was functioning properly. There was no aspiration, there was no leakage, nothing, which I really liked. 3, 2, 1. They completed that, and then I went back up to the room, and then they said I could immediately start on drinking little medicine cups. They gave me a ton of medicine cups, but these little guys, 1 ounce of water. And at first I was like, oh, I could have like 10 of those. That's how I was feeling. But as soon as I took, and I sipped at first because they said, make sure you sip because you have a whole new stomach. I took the tiniest sip and I could just feel it in my stomach. I mean, it just instantly felt full. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be a while. So I kept doing the swabs and then trying to take a sip of water as much as I could, but there was no way. The other thing that was going on, they had a drain in my stomach that was leaking out stuff that they were changing periodically. And then they numbed the inside up with some medication that lasts 72 hours, which was amazing. I've heard on other people's videos, they put in like a pain pump or whatnot. This was cool. It was like Exparol or something like that, and it just numbed it up, and I was definitely in pain, and I could definitely feel everything. Sitting, like going from laying to sitting up was not fun. And then they had the IVs on full blast, so I was kind of full of fluid. And then also they had the compression things over your legs so that you avoid blood clots. And they kept encouraging me to go to the bathroom, which I'm not gonna lie, I have a strong case of urine anxiety, and I've coined that term, but I really feel like I have to go at all times. If there's ever a toilet, there's anything I have to do. So they were really impressed by how much I could go to the bathroom, because I was like, take me. And every time I woke up, I was like, I think I could go again. So the night nurses kind of got a lot of work out of me because I kept going throughout the night. But one thing I truly did not know about was when they do the procedure, they fill your stomach up with a lot of gas, just to kind of expand it so that they can get to your stomach easier. And that, your stomach just feels like a rock, like you're the most bloated you've ever been, and it feels huge. I knew I had a huge stomach before my procedure, but after they blew it up with a bunch of gas, that was quite interesting. And the way they said to kind of get rid of that was just kind of moving around and walking. So I called the nurse's aide, and they had this really great stand where you didn't have, it was like a walker, but it was like a walker you didn't have to bend over at all, because when you have this procedure, your whole core is traumatized. It hurts. Even though they put the numbing stuff in, it still hurts. So I tried walking a few times, but I was just so exhausted. And the night nurse says, get some good rest. We're going to get you moving quite a bit tomorrow, and I was like, okay. They did give me a bunch of pain medications, which I kept saying my pain was probably like at a 4, and I think the highest I ever said was 7. But my real issue was that I felt really nauseous, and I was also having a lot of abdominal cramps, which I'm still dealing with today. The next morning, they had me wake up, and they told me that I had to drink 4 ounces of fluid an hour, which would be nothing. I've done 4 shots of alcohol an hour before, so that would be like nothing. But this was excruciating, so I had to do 3 shots of water, 1 shot protein drink, which was difficult. And then Dr. Schneider, he got there super early. He came in and he chit-chatted with me, and I was telling him how, like, oh my gosh, like, I feel so full. And he goes, are you hungry at all? I'm like, absolutely not. The last thing in the world I want is food. And then he told me to take my protein drink like a shot. He said, Fraternity House, take it like a shot. And I thought, are you nuts? Like, I'm just out of surgery, but I took it like a shot. Well, it took me 3 drinks, but I drank the whole thing quicker than I was drinking it before. And boy, did my stomach feel horrible. But then he just said, now take some deep breaths. And I did, and I kind of breathed through it. So after he kind of said that, I knew that I could do those 4 ounces an hour. And I knew that I would be good at it. It was kind of like a thing like, okay, I can do this. And so let me show you a little clip of what I was like. Hey there, I just kind of want to give you a quick update. I have gone through my surgery now. I apologize, I didn't film anything yesterday. I was super tired after surgery and just completely exhausted. But today I'm doing really good. I've been able to drink 4 ounces of water every hour, which is pretty awesome. I met with my surgeon. He says I'm doing good. His nurse practitioner, she was happy. And I'm just kind of been walking around, getting my legs moving, making sure I'm getting my fluids in so I can get discharged today. I do have at 11 a.m. I have the discharge class which I'm really looking forward to. But I have to say, one day out and I'm feeling amazing, and I am having a little bit of remorse and concern. Did I make the right decision? But so far, everything is doing
After I made that clip, one thing that happened is they came through, and I guess the night of, they did what's called a nocturnal oximetry, which measures your oxygen levels throughout night, and I failed. So they told me that I would be going home with oxygen at night. They wanted me to make sure I had adequate oxygen, and I could it was kind of a weird feeling because I mean, my oxygen's usually like 97, which is really good. And basically what you want for your oxygen is to be above 90% all the time. At night, we say a majority of the time, but really during the day, you want it to be above. And it was like, I was just like kind of quit breathing. If I wasn't focusing on my breath, my oxygen would just drop. So they then told me that I would have to go home with oxygen at exertion. And I was kind of okay with it because I'm going to be home, and they told me that this would probably not last. In fact, they said, I think in 3 weeks, they're going to do a nocturnal oximetry test on me again to see if I even need the oxygen at night. They said this is pretty common after surgery, you know, while you're still trying to get the anesthesiology weared off, this happens. So I got set up with oxygen, which I wasn't overly excited about, but didn't really care too much. And then I went to, they had a bariatric post-op nutrition class where they sat down and said, this is what you're going to do. If you're not getting this many ounces of water, you need to call us right away. If you're not getting, they said, we want you to get 40 grams of protein. But they also said the water is more important and that we don't count the protein drink to be your water. So most important, drink water and then try to have protein. And they said they prefer 40 ounces. And they just kind of went over everything about taking vitamins. They said that we would need to come back into class within a week to learn more about how we're going to deal with our stomachs. And right after that, they just discharged me. I mean, it was noon before I left. I mean, it wasn't even 24 hours after my surgery, which I was kind of excited about. I pushed those 4 ounces so I could get out of there. So I got home. They delivered oxygen like right away. And the first night was a lot of sleeping and just kind of relaxation. And I would have to say that since the first night that I was home, I've improved exponentially every day. I would say that my stomach still hurts. It's really hard to go from laying down to sitting and sitting to standing. But I'm able to drink quite a bit more water. I mean, definitely more than 4 ounces. I've also incorporated some protein drinks that have made me feel a lot more energetic. And I'm even considering going back to work tomorrow. I don't know if I'll make it a full day, but I'm going to do my best to, make it maybe just like, half day. Overall, I'm feeling quite a bit better. I have a lot more energy. I've quit using the oxygen while at exertion. I have a pulse ox at home, and I've tested it with me walking around a bunch without oxygen. My oxygen is now normal, so I am wearing it at night, which can be really drying for the sinuses. So I put my humidifier on high, which has helped quite a bit, but it's still, kind of a pain. So hopefully I'll get off of that eventually. But I have to say, I had a little bit of remorse at first because I was just kind of feeling miserable. But I think it's totally doable, and I'm really excited to see what they say at Wednesday's class as to what the next steps are to kind of keep this process going. So if you're new, again, always please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week at week 2 post-op.